joy of Krishna consciousness. And there was some bracket also. Did you know that? Yeah, fine. I thought it just came to me, and to you it's just half. Horrors of material life. Okay, so my please request is that if you can make it a dialogue, I'll be happy. Not a monologue. Otherwise it's boring. So I might ask you something and feel free to answer me. So it'll keep up the interest. Okay, so this is the topic: joy of Krishna consciousness and horrors of material life. So, well, the first point is we don't feel mostly that material life is not so horrible, so hard. We don't feel like that, no. Most of the time, people who are not devotees, for them it's like exciting. Today, so many people, they're Thanksgiving, enjoying. If you ask them material life is horrible, they'll say, "Come on, you are a fool." It's so enjoyable, it's so exciting. And sometimes, as a devotee, also, we don't feel it as so messed up. It's okay. It's exciting. And sometimes we don't feel Krishna conscious as so joyful. That's the other part of it. Sometimes we do devotion, but it's sometimes frustrating, it's sometimes burden. Sometimes we feel depressed. Sometimes we don't feel like to continue. So there are two sides of it. So why is it? Now we have to investigate into this. As a scientist, Prabhupada said it's the science of self-realization. Prabhupada always wanted to present Krishna consciousness as science, not as pure sentiment. And that is why Prabhupada always said, why we are building so many temples. There are so many temples, so many people preaching, but our Krishna consciousness preaching is little different, because we present to people that 1 + 1 is 2. Prabhupada always gives that example. So it's universal. 1 + 1, 2. Christian, Hinduism, Islam, it's universal. So we have to find concepts which are universal, which are applicable not to people but to soul. And then we can understand God and develop love for Him. So there are two parts: horrors of material life, joy of service. Now we have to investigate into this problem. Why material life appears to be so joyful, sometimes, at least to us, and why service appears to be sometimes not joyful to all of us. What are the secrets of Krishna consciousness? What is the secret of this material world? So how to do that? To investigate, whom should we go? To scientists? They don't have the answer. Scientists can tell you what... Scientists can give you this machine, but they cannot tell you how to use it. No. Scientists can talk about objectivity, but not subjectivity. They are not concerned with feelings. Feelings are out of science. Feelings are with philosophy, mythology, is it? That's scientists. We can't go to them. What about philosophers? We can't go to philosophers to ask us questions, because most of the philosophers who try to give philosophy of joy, most of them, they committed suicide. Nietzsche, you know Nietzsche? Friedrich Nietzsche? How do you pronounce that? Nietzsche, as German philosopher Nietzsche. He was trying to find joy. He was trying to analyze this material world. He came to independent conclusion: this material world is nonsense, without any scripture. But then he became mad. Actually, he became mad in the end. So these philosophers, they might have some insight into this material world, true insight. But nevertheless, the conclusion is depression and suicide. There is no other way. It's all depressing. It's all pessimistic. So forget about it. Just die. Skepticism. There's a philosophy of skepticism. Come on, everything is... How do you know what's real? We doubt everything. So forget it. The person who invented this philosophy of skepticism, skepticism? Skepticism means I'm doubtful whether you exist or not. You might be sitting in front of me, but you might all be zombies, no? Is it? Might be, it can be. How do I know that? So that person, he was skeptic, and he thought, is there happiness? No, there's no happiness. And he was going in a mountain in a car, and he was skeptic. So he thought maybe this ditch, there was a ditch on the side. He thought maybe this ditch is not there. Doubtful. So he went into that. He died. So philosophy born of depression will end in depression. And they are not good people to go to find answers. The only place we can find answers to this problem and we can solve our case, we can solve our investigation by going to not mental speculators but to wise people. Not philosophy books but to scriptures. And which kind of scriptures? What is better than Gita? Bhagavad-Gita. Bhagavad-Gita is a philosophical book. And to understand horrors of material life, we go to Gita. To understand the joy of Krishna consciousness, we go to 𝗙𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏. In other words, to understand material life is so horrible, we ask Krishna. Krishna is expert in that. He can convince us. And I'll tell you how he convinces us. He will convince us, and I'll tell you what are his logics to convince us that material life is horrible. He's expert. And to understand what is joy of service, whom do we ask? Lord Chaitanya. He is expert in that. Joy of Krishna consciousness. So both are God, but they came to explain different concepts. So Krishna's whole mission was to explain us, okay, this material life is useless, surrender to me. That's it. Some little bit more about service, that's all. Then he came as Lord Chaitanya. He said, fine, well, I told about service. So what are the joys of service? Now I'll elaborate on this. So that was a complete mission from Krishna to Lord Chaitanya. So we'll ask both of them. First we'll ask Krishna. Krishna, please convince us that there is nothing in material life. It's horrible. It's a Black Friday. It's a Black Friday? It's not a White Friday. It's a Black Friday. So Krishna will convince us. I'll give you his logics. And his logics you can't argue. Just like Prabhupada. When Prabhupada used to speak, nobody had anti-argument, no? Prabhupada used to give such an answer, you can't argue back. If there was, what's that? I think one Alvar was there. 𝗙𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏 Alvar. So he asked a question to the queen. What was that? Anyway, I just messed it up. I'll just answer afterwards. So, okay, fine. So, what Krishna says about material life. So, there are 4 principles you should know which Gita speaks. Gita gives us 4 laws of this material world and convinces us it's horrible. 4. And about joy of service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives 8 laws. So everything is laws, no? Laws of physics, laws of material world, laws of spiritual world. Okay, what are those 4 laws? The first law, which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is, let me ask you a question. If you ask your neighbor, are you happy? What is his answer? What will be the answer? Yes or no? Yes. Of course yes. Of course yes. So he might argue with you, fine, you are happy, you remain happy in your life, in your Krishna consciousness, I am happy in my material life, so what's the harm, let us be brothers. But the point is, we are not happy with that proposal. We don't want to accept that proposal. We are happy, but you are not happy. So okay, he says I am happy. Can you convince him and that you are not happy? Can you tell him somehow? This is the first law of Bhagavad Gita. Any insight into this? What's your answer? Yes, Guru? Yeah.
The senses are futile. Senses don't give lasting pleasure.
Yeah, but he can say, I can keep on giving pleasure to my senses. I'll keep on doping, whole life. Doping. Okay, it doesn't give pleasure. I'll keep on doing parties. That's okay. I'm a billionaire. I can arrange my life in such a way. Again and again, pleasure. So what do you do with that?
Until something bad happens to them?
No, but no. We have to convince him Now. Not until something bad happens. Then then they will say, see, then they will say, you're trying to make us fearful. You are such a bad people. You make us fear. The bad happen, this happens, you go to hell, and then we'll be caught up in the argument. That's what is all about. People say, you people are psychologists. You're playing with the psychology. No, that's not a good argument. No. So what's the argument?
You can tell them about the old age and diseases. You'll have it later.
Well, you'll also become old.
Yes,
so then?
It's not.
So then your happiness also not happiness. What do you say with that? You become diseased. Your happiness is not happiness. But we have to prove him our happiness is happiness. Your happiness is not happiness. That's what we have to prove. Okay, yeah. Can you elaborate on that? Yeah.
Yeah, he says that this sense perception, what we perceive from our senses, the happiness and distress is only arising from our sense perception. It's not really satisfying the soul. It's just arising from sense perception and it's temporary. It has a beginning and an end.
Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah, you got the answer, but okay, fine. I can accept that. Okay. The first law is, in simple terms, you ask him second question. And you ask him, you are happy, okay, fine, you're happy? Good. Now tell me the answer to second question. Are you satisfied? What is going to say? Yes or no? No. No materialist can say he's satisfied. It's impossible. He will rather admit, I am not satisfied. My God, my sons are a problem. My wife is a problem. My money is... I'm not satisfied with anything. What's happening? No? Everybody feels a lacuna in their life. So that's what Krishna gives an insight. Krishna says, if you are not satisfied, you can't be peaceful. Is it? What do you make of peace without satisfaction? I am not satisfied, but I am peaceful. It's nonsense. And if you can't be peaceful, you can't be happy. Without peace, there cannot be true happiness. This means your happiness is of different quality than our happiness. Our happiness has satisfaction and peace. Your happiness is not having satisfaction and peace. This is the difference. And he will admit to that. He will understand. Anybody will understand, materialist. Yes, I am not satisfied. I am a billionaire, but I want to become trillionaire. Is it? At least that thing is there, no? He wants things, no? He wants things. So nobody is satisfied. So, what is this verse in Bhagavad-Gita? Can anybody tell me? Now there's a quiz.
Chapter 2, towards the latter part.
Okay, go. Yeah, yes. What's that verse? Yes.
I can't think of it.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So.
It's like in the late 60s.
Yeah. Oh, so okay. We give you 8 out of 10. Yeah, that's nice. Anybody specific? Yeah. Please got it. No. What's that verse? Please, you can forget your name, but don't forget Gita. Gita, you can't afford to forget. What is Gita? Gita is the words of God. If you forget His words, this is so important. Prabhupada said to all of us, his books are like law books. Is it? Prabhupada always said, law books means what is 320 section? What is 420? Lawyers, they know. You should remember. I have seen people I have traveled India in many gurukuls, in many other sampradayas, and people, if you ask them Gita, they can recite Gita from first verse to the last verse and back from last verse to first verse. They can do that. My God. And if you ask them, there are children like that who are trained. If you ask them to get up in the sleep, recite 15 chapter, he'll be reciting in half sleep 15 chapter full. They're good. It's not just remembering, but the point is, it's nice to remember what we must remember Krishna's words. No. Okay. 2.66. What's that verse? No, that's 5.29. No, that's 2.62. That's 2.62. 2.62 to 2.63. 2.66. No. 2.6 is na asti buddhire yuktasya na ayuktasya cha bhavana न च अभाव्यता शांति अशांतस्य कुतः सुखम. Simple law Krishna gives, very beautiful law. Krishna says, if you are not connected to me, 𝗙cie 𝗹𝗹𝗀𝗪𝗲𝗄, if your intelligence is not connected to me, intelligence connected to Krishna means if you are not planning in my service, there is no plan. Intelligence plans? Planning. You should plan. What will I do for Krishna tomorrow, in 1 week, in 1 month, and next second, everything should be chalked out. Otherwise, it will become space out, no? Okay, my service is over, now what to do? Nothing. Finish. So Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion, planning. People whose mind have plan, who plans for my service, 𝗙cie 𝗹𝗹𝗀𝗪𝗲𝗀 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗏. People who do not have emotions connected to me, feelings, they cannot be satisfied. Without satisfaction, there is no peace. Without peace, there is no true happiness. It's a beautiful law, is it? So, you can prove to any materialist person that your happiness is actually not true happiness. Then what is that? What's that happiness, no? If our happiness is true happiness, his happiness is not true happiness, then what is his happiness? His happiness is 𝗪 संस्पृजा सुख, that it is just sensual excitement. Sprija, you understand? Sprija means? Spriha means contact. Just sensual excitement. It's superficial. Our happiness goes deep to the soul because we are satisfied. Is it? You go to any party. You see. Just like today, they are doing parties. Whole night. Morning, what will happen with them? Headache. Is it? It happens now. Hangover. Oh my God, I just so much party, so much headache. Why? Because that was not true happiness. That is bringing some kind of stress and tension. That's the trick. That you have to realize. You have to realize that this material happiness is disturbing you. It disturbs your soul. And Krishna consciousness, when you chant, it makes you satisfied and peaceful. It's good law, no? Good insight. This is Bhagavad-Gita. Okay, second law, Krishna says. He says not only this happiness is not true happiness, this happiness is also source of unhappiness. It is not just this happiness is actually superficial, sensual excitement, but it will be the source of unhappiness later. What is that verse? Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. Okay. Which chapter, which verse? 5th chapter, 22nd verse. This is the verse. 𝗪 संस्पृजा सुख दुख योन्य एवते आद्यंत एव कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधा. And Prabhupada writes very interesting purport to that. And Krishna says, beautiful insight. Krishna says, see Arjun, just try to observe. 𝗪 संस्पृजा सुख. Every happiness is a womb of an unhappiness. Just like a mother carries a child. So if you get happiness from this material world, you open that happiness, inside it is unhappiness. It's a box. It's a nice box with scent and nice. When you open, inside what is there? It's a stool. It's unhappiness. You have seen that Pushpak movie? I don't know, Indians. There's a movie Pushpak, there was India, no? Like I saw in child. So he used to present gifts packed nicely with scents, and when people used to open, inside there was stool. Stool, yeah. He used to do that. People used to say, wow, it's a real surprise. That was the character. So that's his material world. Happiness. The womb of happiness has unhappiness within it. Now, this is very interesting, very interesting. You can say to him, Krishna says, why it is like that? Why every happiness will lead to unhappiness? Why is that? Can anybody tell me why?
Because it's temporary.
Yeah, it's temporary. So
and you're never back to the satisfaction. You just you want it to be more. So this feels good. So I want to feel even better. It's kind of like addiction to drugs. You don't have satisfaction with the happiness. You want more happiness, but your senses can only take so much.
Okay, yeah. Adyante eva ch kaunteya. Krishna says, this happiness of material world has beginning and end. Even if you can plan your entire life, you can make a plan so that you get all happiness, one after one after one other. But the point is, the fact that happiness ends, that is a misery. Is it? The fact something ends is a misery. You lose that. Misery of losing that. You can plan again to get that, that's another thing. But the misery of losing that, the fear of losing that, what about that? What about that? So, while you are experiencing happiness, you have a fear, I will lose it. So that happiness within has misery. That's what Krishna gives inside there. I don't want to just go in that now. I'll come afterwards. So you understand? So there's a fear. So that's a second law Krishna gives. And the third law Krishna gives is a beautiful law. Krishna says, Arjun, see.
Sorry to interrupt. What is the second verse you say?
5.22. 5.22. Yahi samskrita boka. And then Krishna says, Arjun, okay fine. Arjun says, Krishna, can you explain me more? Can you give me some other logic? How this happiness is and unhappiness is within? Krishna says, okay fine, I'll give you another logic. You see this, our happiness, Krishna says, it is actually slavery. Is it? Is a slave happy? Is a slave happy? No. Nobody wants slavery. But his happiness is making you slave. Can you quote the verse from Bhagavad-Gita? There's a verse from Bhagavad-Gita.
In chapter 3?
No. I'll give you a hint, 5th chapter.
It talks about shackles of life.
No, happiness is a slavery. This material happiness is slavery. 5th chapter, 24th verse, Krishna says, Antah sukhi anta aramas, tatha anta jyotirevacha, sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma adhikacchati. Beautiful verse. Krishna says, Arjun, whose happiness is within, Antah sukhi, anta arama, who rejoices within, who doesn't find his happiness outside in objects. See, our happiness is dependent on objects, no? Is it? We are slaves. This tendency to crave happiness in this material world has made us slaves of this material world. Now, without objects, you don't feel happy, no? You lose objects, you become dissatisfied. So you're a slave of your Apple's iPhone. Is it? i5, i6. You're a slave of that phone. Because once you lose it, you lose happiness. Oh my God. We are slaves of our friends. We lose friends, we lose happiness. Our happiness is enslaved by objects. Do you understand? So because we are slaves, we can't be happy. So our happiness has unhappiness within. So beautiful concept. So Krishna says liberated souls are whose happiness is liberated from objects and from people. He can close his eyes, fully happy. He doesn't need anybody, no? If we close our eyes for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you ask any ordinary person, you close your eyes for 10 minutes, after 10 minutes he will want to do something, no? Talk to somebody, some object. But devotee is not like that. Prabhupada said you can just close your eyes, keep on chanting. That's all. You don't need anything. You are within. You are not outside. And that is the third law Krishna has given. And so most of these people who claim for liberty, they are all slaves. This is a country of liberty, no? Liberty. Statue of liberty. But no, it's a statue of slave. The more you enjoy, the more you try to enjoy this world, the more you become slave of this world. That's what Krishna says. So this is third thing.
What's the verse?
And the verse is 5.24. Yo anta sukhi anta aramascha. And the third thing Krishna says is, even if you are not satisfied with this logic, Krishna gives another logic. See, your happiness is unhappiness because your happiness is a golden cage. There is a problem with your happiness. And the problem is 14th chapter, 6th verse. What's that? Modes of nature. Krishna says, Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badhanat jnana sangena cha anaga. Krishna says, Arjun, this happiness of these people. Prabhupada writes a big purport. Prabhupada says, see, philosophers and scientists, they are inventing so many things. Why? To get happiness? Rockets and this and that, machines. But the problem with their happiness is they get attached to their happiness. Is it? Sukha sangena badnaat. They get attached to their knowledge by which they get happiness. Yes, I have got happiness by my efforts. That's the problem. Because of that attachment, they miss going to spiritual world. They're born again. So Krishna gives such a nice logic. So you can convince any materialist that your happiness is not happiness. It's a horrible material life. There's no satisfaction. There's no peace. You have fear of losing that happiness. You're a slave of objects and people so that you can get happiness. And fifth is, your happiness will lead you to more attachment to this material world. You see, who is better? A sinful person or a pious person? Tell me. Who is better? Okay. From one perspective, pious. From another perspective, sinful people are much better than pious. You know why? Because Prabhupada says in one of his purport, Prabhupada says sinful people have large, good opportunity to come to Krishna consciousness. Pious people will never come. Because pious people think that by my actions I have made myself happy. So they don't need to listen to anybody. No? Why should I listen? That's the point. So Prabhupada says that sinful people have more chances to come to Krishna than pious people. Sometimes, many times not, but many times yes. Because if you go to India, if you go, people who are pious, they don't listen to us. They don't listen. They say, come on, I also know. I am also doing puja since my childhood. And that's why Prabhupada told, see, America, my mission was successful because nobody knew anything. Is it? They were all like hippies, all sinful life. And they were thinking, I don't know anything. Anyway, we are like useless. So let us listen to this old man. And he's old, so he'll not cheat us. So you have faith in them. So they listened. What about Indians? Pious, so-called pious. 30 years Prabhupada was preaching. Only one disciple. That too, he was arguing with Prabhupada day and night for Mayavad. In Allahabad, that his disciple was. 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝗎 or Allahabad? I don't know. 𝗙𝗵𝗄𝗎. So that's a problem there. So, are you convinced material life is horrible? To a large extent, no? Is it or not? This happiness is not happiness. Try to realize this. It is not happiness. Okay. This is Krishna telling us. Now what about joy of Krishna consciousness? Now this might be little, you have to hear me properly. Now Krishna consciousness means service, no? Now sometimes we serve but we don't feel joy. Why? That's our investigation. What can we do so that when we feel joy every time when we serve Krishna in Krishna consciousness? Are there any laws for that? Are we missing some points? Yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives 8 points. Everybody knows 𝗙𝗪𝗪. So 𝗙𝗪𝗪 has a secret. 8 points for joy of Krishna consciousness. And the first verse, what's that? Marjanam bhamadavang nirvapanam, it goes on. Param vijate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. First verse has a first secret of joy of Krishna consciousness. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if you want to be joyful in Krishna consciousness, in service, the first law is you have to find happiness in the happiness of God. It's a beautiful law which Prabhupada gives in Narad Bhakti Sutra. Prabhupada disciples, they write commentary. But it says, 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗙 Beautiful law. So what this means? This means that when Krishna is happy, we are happy. When Krishna is distressed, we are distressed. If Krishna is happy by giving us distressed, we are happy or distressed?
Happy.
We are happy. If Krishna is distressed by giving us happiness, that happiness is distress. That's the meaning of finding happiness in happiness of God. That Sita Devi says to Ram, when Ram is taking Vanvas, Ram is going to the forest. So Sita says to Ram, my dear Ram, I want to come with you. So Ram says, no, you're beautiful and you are young. You're very soft and very tender. You stay in kingdom. I'll go to forest. It's very dangerous and very hard life. Sita says, Ram, no. Without you, my happiness is unhappiness. And with you, my unhappiness is happiness. That is devotion. That's what Bhaktivedanta Thakur says. Seva sukha dukkha parama sampada. Krishna, in your service, whatever sufferings I suffer, whatever unhappiness I get, that is my supreme wealth. That is my happiness. So this is the law. Find happiness in the happiness of Lord. That's what Vrindavan is all about. Gopis. Or Krishna went to Mathura, and Gopis were weeping for him, in separation. At the same time, they were unhappy that Krishna went, but at the same time they were happy because Krishna is in Dwarka. Krishna is well settled, He has his queens. Like in Vrindavan, he was not well settled. So-called well settled. Everybody wants to see the people well settled. So he is well settled in Dwarka with his palaces, wealth, queens. So they are happy. Okay, fine. Let Krishna be happy. In his happiness is my happiness. This is the first law. We should understand. We should not always think of our own happiness. That's a disease we have got. No. Think of Krishna's happiness. And in that you should find happiness. Okay. The second verse speaks about second law. Now the point is, when you serve Krishna and you're trying to find happiness in the happiness of Krishna, Krishna says, I become happy by this. Do this, do this, do this, do this. What is that called? That is called service, no? If you come to me and ask me, okay, how do you become happy? And I'll say, okay, fine. You should do like this. You should make food like this. You should act like this, and I'll become happy. So you start doing that. That is called service. Is it? The aim of service is to make Krishna happy. Sometimes we can serve Krishna without making him happy. We can do that, no? You have to be careful. We have to serve in such a way so that other person becomes happy, no? Sometimes it can happen, no? I might ask you a glass of water, and you are too intelligent. You give me a juice, a Coca-Cola. Will I become happy? Well, I got diabetes. I don't have, but I'm just giving example. So I don't become happy. So you have to serve in a way in which Krishna becomes happy, not in a way in which you become happy. That's two different proposals. Think about it. Generally we do service in a way in which we become happy. But that's not an ideal thing. We should do service in a way in which Krishna becomes happy, no matter how much problematic it might be. Just like Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada wanted to serve Krishna in the way he wanted. His guru wanted. Even he came to America. There were so many problems, but he said Prabhupada could have all preached in India and wherever he wanted, but he wanted to come to West because it was difficult, but nevertheless, no problem. So Prabhupada always said, these purports, books are my ecstasy. No? Purports. Although it was tough for him to manage and preach and then write purports, he was saying every second I'm in ecstasy. So okay. But the problem here is, if you start serving Krishna in a way how he wants and to make him happy, the problem is sometimes you don't feel taste. Is it? We are serving Krishna, but we don't feel taste. How to get that taste? How to get that joy in that Krishna consciousness? What is the key of tasting that joy? You serve Krishna, he'll give you taste. But you need a key to get that taste. What's that key?
The spiritual master.
What does spiritual master give you? Yeah. But okay, fine. If suppose you're in a forest, you're lost in a forest, there's no spiritual master, there are no devotees. You have a deity of Krishna, you're serving him. How do you get the taste? There's nobody to tell you. So that, there should be some independent thing.
Serving purely.
Full faith.
Any objective? No, this is very subjective answer. No, science means objectivity. I don't want subjective answers. This is very subjective. You can say full faith, I can say full faith, he can say full faith, I can break this table full faith. But, well, who has full faith? Everybody can. Is it, do you understand? So, objective answer. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In second verse he says, if you want to unlock that happiness, if you want to taste that joy of Krishna consciousness in that service, you need holy name. Nama namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis. Second verse is giving you the key to taste that happiness. Krishna gives you happiness. When you are serving him, it is not that he blocks the taste. He is always giving. But the point is we are unable to taste it. Why? Because of holy name. We don't chant properly. And that Prabhupada writes in one of his purport. We need holy name because in service we do so many offenses, unconsciously, consciously. So by chanting holy name, these offenses are liquidated. No, that's a philosophy. That's our philosophy. So Prabhupada gives that example. When you go to temple and there's arti, so what do? In South India, I've seen people say Govinda, Govinda. You see that? They catch hold of ears and Govinda, Govinda. So Prabhupada said, whenever anybody is doing deity worship, kirtan should go on. That's why in all ISKCON temples, Prabhupada made it a point. Deity worship, kirtans. Deity worship, kirtans. Why? Because Prabhupada says that any service you do, there will be fault. It's impossible to do any service perfectly. Impossible. Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, every action has a fault. In 13th chapter. Yeah. Sarvarambhe and doshena. Krishna says, every action has a fault. Every service has a fault. This material world is designed like that. You want to cook for Krishna? Okay, but some ants will die. Some insects will die. What do you do with that? So you want to do deity worship? Sometimes some things are not clean. Sometimes we don't know the exact process. It's a very detailed process. We don't follow that. Okay, chant holy name. All your offenses in that service are liquefied. And Prabhupada quotes Jiva Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ante Leela, 2nd chapter, 102nd verse. Prabhupada quotes that, yes, Prabhupada quotes, Yadyapi kalau anne seva vidyate. Although there are so many services in this age, deity worship, cooking, and so many cleaning, but tatra nama sanyoga, everything should be connected with holy name. Without holy name, every service is incomplete. Because every service will have fault. That is why to taste service, we need to chant. And you can imagine, you can see, you can test for yourself. The day you don't chant properly, you don't find taste in any service, is it? The whole day is like, what's going on? It's a crazy day. And when we chant in morning nicely, whole day is so nice. Is it? It's practical. No, all of us, it happens. So, second verse is giving you the key to taste that joy of Krishna consciousness. But here's a point. We can't chant holy name 24 hours. Is it? It's difficult. We can't do that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gives in third verse. If you want to, you have the key, but if you want to use that key, you might have that key, but if you want to use that key, you need another law to use that key. And that law is third verse. What is that? Trinadapi sunichena 𝗪𝗪 sahishnunam amanena mandena kirtina sadahari. Having key is one thing, using is another thing. So we have the key, holy name, but we should know how to use it every second, every moment. So how to use that key? Third verse gives you 3 secrets to chant holy names properly so that we can experience a joy of service every second. And what is the secret? There are 3 formulas. Trinadapi sunichena, humbleness, tolerance, and giving respects to others. But here's a point, there's a secret in this verse. It's not easy to understand. Prabhupada explains in his purports. Prabhupada has written a book, Renunciation of Wisdom. We all know small book. I don't think so. They don't print now.
It is there, sold here also in that.
It's sold. A Renunciation of Wisdom. Through wisdom? Yeah. So in that 5th chapter, Prabhupada says, Prabhupada writes, what is humbleness? So what is humbleness? Prabhupada says, okay, let me ask you, what is humbleness? What do you mean by humbleness? What is that?
Not big arrogant.
Not be, but that's not humbleness. That is, you are putting humbleness in some other words, no? Not being arrogant. What is darkness? Not light. But that's not darkness, no? Is it? You understand? It's not the answer. What is humbleness?
Not be anxious of getting respect.
No. That is Samadhi Namadhi. Okay.
Taking pride in the Supreme, you think that He is more powerful than you are.
Being fully surrendered to the order of the spiritual master.
That can be humbleness, yes. That's one humbleness. One quality of humbleness, being fully surrendered.
And he knows that he can be corrected. When you are humble, you accept that you are not perfect.
Okay, fine. Can I ask you, if I act as a devil advocate, I can argue for that. Following orders of spiritual master perfectly. There are many people following orders of spiritual master perfectly. Even a new person comes in Krishna consciousness, probably he might be more enthusiastic to follow orders of spiritual master perfectly than us. No? A new devotee, 1 year, 2 years, they are, yes. After some time, things go down. We all know it goes down. If a person joins 1 year in Krishna conscious and spiritual master says go and jump from the building, he will do. He might do. If after 20 years, like me, if you ask jump from the building, we'll say, where is that verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita? Then any logic for that? We have our own things, We have got knowledge, and that knowledge might block us there. Sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes, not always. But I'm just arguing for that point. So there is one thing Prabhupada says in renunciation of through wisdom. Prabhupada says humbleness is leaving sense gratification. Prabhupada says that. That is humbleness. That is humbleness. Leaving sense gratification. Prabhupada says many people equate humbleness with weakness. But that is not humbleness, is it? If a sweeper, he says, I am a sweeper, is he humble? Is he humble? He is not humble. If a king says, I am a sweeper, then that's humble, is it? That's humble. If a fallen person says, I am fallen, is it humble? No. If an elevated person says, I am fallen, then that's humble. You understand? Uttam hoya apna ke mane heen. When you are super advanced and you say, I am fallen, that is humbleness. And what is a symptom of advancement? Leaving sense gratification. When you have left sense gratification and yet you say, like Krishna Consciousness Swami, that I am a worm in a stool, I am always engaged in sense gratification. You say, yes, he is humble. If I say, I am always doing sense gratification, well, I have heard so many times, now go back and do your service. Is it? Krishna might say to us, this is not humbleness. Why are you repeating again and again? I know. Why you are eating my head? That doesn't really make him so happy as when Srila Prabhupada prayed to Krishna, Krishna, please save me from illusion. He was once praying, Krishna, I don't want to fall down. That's humbleness. Krishna is happy with that. When Haridas Thakur is saying, Mahaprabhu, I cannot chant even a single round. That's humbleness, no? He's chanting 22 hours. And if we go to Krishna, I can't chant my rounds. Yeah, I know, 10 years you can't, I know, I'm seeing you for 10 years. And you can't chant still. Okay, go back, practice. So there's a difference in humbleness. Truly humble person is he who is advanced. Otherwise you can't claim humbleness. There's a difference between humble and fallen. We have fallen. We are not really humble. To accept the fact we have fallen, that is also humbleness in one sense. Yes, Krishna, I am fallen. It is the beginning of that stage, but it is not true humbleness in real sense, in the most 100% shining, true humbleness. That is that humbleness. So that's what Krishna Mahaprabhu gives, the third law. Be humble. And humbleness means leaving sense gratification. Is it? If you are truly humble, you will not enjoy the property of God, no? Is it? That's humbleness, no? Everything is property of God. I'll not enjoy that because I am servant. If you enjoy this property, then you're not acting as a servant. You're not humble. You're enjoying. Is it? So I always give that example. You come to a house and your servant is sitting on your sofa and taking all stuff from your fridge, eating and seeing your TV. And you go, what's happening? Just wait a minute. Let me finish your pizza. Is he humble? He says, no, I'm your servant. No. It's same thing. This house of God. Entire world. And we are taking things from Krishna. Enjoying. And we say we are servant. Krishna says, what kind of servant you are? You are not humble. So Prabhupada gives this insight in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Renunciation through Wisdom. So third law is be humble. If you want to use that key, holy name, be humble. Be humble means leave sense gratification. Leave that. The more you are devoid of sense gratification, the more humble you are in eyes of Krishna. Maybe not in eyes of ordinary person. Eyes of Krishna, you're humble. You're a true servant. Okay. And now what about...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because we could see a yogi who is very sense controlled, but may not be particularly Krishna conscious.
Oh, okay, fine. Good point. Yeah, I appreciate your point.
So
yeah.
do we see?
So we have to. Let me add to this. Leaving sense gratification in Krishna consciousness means actually giving sense gratification to Krishna. That's the definition of leaving sense gratification in devotion. Prabhupada always defines. Leave your sense gratification, gratify senses of Krishna. Now it becomes complete. No? So yeah, that's a good point to add. Okay. Now, but the point here is when you're using that key, when you're chanting holy names, you're using that key to taste that service. Something you have to keep in mind. You have to keep a proper attitude. And that's the fourth law, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving in fourth verse. What's that fourth verse? Na dhanam na janam. So you're using that, you're chanting holy name, but what's the attitude? What's going inside your head, this box? Hare Krishna, that's more important, no? What's going inside this box? So what's the attitude? So Mahaprabhu says, fourth law, to experience that joy of Krishna consciousness, fourth law is, you have to develop habit of giving and not taking. And Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion, chapter 29, he says that always try to give and not take. But we're diseased to take, is it? If we're diseased to take, in devotion we come, we want, no? We have this habit of taking. Krishna, please give us peace and happiness. At least we want that. But if that tendency is there, we will not be able to use that key properly. So Prabhupada says, Prabhupada has given one lecture in Vrindavan in 1975, in June. And he says, Prabhupada says, a true devotee of Krishna, he doesn't want to take anything from Krishna. He only wants Krishna. Actually, he doesn't want Krishna even. We even don't want Krishna. Prabhupada says he just wants service of Krishna. And service means giving, no? So he doesn't want to take, he doesn't want even to take Krishna. He wants to give him. But Prabhupada says, nevertheless, Krishna will give him anyway to his devotees. That Prabhupada then ends that. Prabhupada says in one of his lectures in Mayapur, this is in 1973, June 2nd, I think so. But it's 1973. Prabhupada says in one of his lectures that what qualification we have to go back to Godhead. What qualification we have? We might desire, but we don't deserve. So you can keep on desiring, but if you don't deserve, you don't go back. So Prabhupada says, what qualification we have to go to back to Godhead? Back to Godhead, Dhruv will go, Prahlad will go. Great devotees, what we have. So Prabhupada says, so if you don't go to back to Godhead, there's no point of disappointment. Anyway, we are not going. Prabhupada says in that lecture. It's a beautiful lecture I was hearing. And then Prabhupada says, yes, don't ask Krishna his kingdom. Don't ask Krishna him. If you want, but Krishna might say, but please, you have to ask me something. Ask me something. I want to give you something. what you will tell to Krishna? You take something. Krishna says, you take something. I want you to take. So what you'll say? If Krishna says, I want to give you something, there's just one answer for us. Krishna, if you want to give us something, give me the power to give you back everything. That's what we want. We don't want anything. And that's the fourth law. Then we can use that key properly. That attitude is proper. And then, but the point here is, even if you keep on giving Krishna life after lives, still Krishna might not accept you as your servant, is it? It's not easy, no? We are giving him. Still Krishna might not become fully pleased. It's difficult to please Krishna. Prabhupada says it's difficult to please Krishna. He's Krishna. He's God. Our tiny services, how it can please Krishna? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, okay, fifth verse. What's the fifth verse? Chaitanya Shikshashtakam. Ai nanda tanuja kinkaram patitam maam vishame bhavam budho. He gives you fifth law. If you want that joy of service, you take this law. While serving Krishna, while always giving him, we have to pray. Pray to Krishna. Krishna, please accept this service. Please accept me as your servant. This is the power of prayer. In chanting the holy names, in service. Prabhupada says, devotee, every second he keeps on praying. Every moment he prays in his heart, walking, talking. Prabhupada says, chanting is the best prayer and best glorification, is it? Prabhupada says in Science of Self-Realization. So we always have to pray to Krishna. Krishna, even though I don't deserve to be your servant, still I hope to become your servant. Even though my services are defective and my services are not actually quantitatively and qualitatively perfect to make such a perfect person as you happy, still I have one hope to become your servant. And if you want, you can fulfill that hope by your causeless mercy. That's what is fifth prayer. Fifth law is prayers. To experience that joy, we have to pray. But the point is, you can keep on praying, but still Krishna might not accept your prayers, is it? He's independent, no? You can't say, Krishna, I'm praying to you for so many years. Why don't you listen? No. As soon as you say that, why don't you listen? You lose many things, no? So Krishna says, well, you doubt me? Is it? So, the point is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, sixth law, to experience joy of service. Most important question in devotee's life is not what, not why, it is when. And Prabhupada says in that purport to this verse, he explains in his lectures, when. And what is that sixth verse? Nayanam garada shrudharaya. When will tears come in my eyes? When will my hair stand up? When will that day come when Krishna will accept me as a servant? No? That's the verse. When is important. Now we are working in what? What service should I do? We are working in why. Why should I do? Lecture provides you why. Temple provides you what. But we have to come to the platform of when. When will he accept my service? By using this what and why together. When you mix what and why together properly, with sincerity you come to when. That's what is, all our songs are like that, no? Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, when will Krishna accept me? When will Krishna give me mercy? Always when, is it? Always when, no? When will I go back to Krishna? So that's the sixth law he's giving. If you want to feel the joy of service, always ask when. When will Krishna give me mercy? When will Krishna accept me? We have to come to this platform of when. And what about seventh? Now 7th, 8th is little difficult to understand. But the seventh law to experience joy of service is, when you keep on saying, when will Krishna give me mercy? When will Krishna give me mercy? You might lose all hopes to attain that mercy. Is it? It has to be hope against hope, no? It's difficult. When will Krishna give me mercy? Krishna is not giving, okay, fine. So a point will come, to experience that joy of service, Mahaprabhu says there is a secret. You should become anxious And then you can experience that joy. The more hungry you are, the more you feel taste, is it? The more hungry you are to attain Krishna, the more joy you will have in service. But hunger is suffering, no? Is it? Dissatisfaction is suffering. That's what Mahaprabhu is bringing concept, spiritual dissatisfaction, spiritual anxiety. And Prabhupada says that spiritual anxiety, spiritual dissatisfaction is good. Very nice. Devotee loses all hopes in any other process to attain Krishna. Devotee loses all hope on his personal efforts. It's impossible for me to attain Krishna by my efforts. Devotee loses all hope in this material world that there's something around here. His situation becomes hopeless. And from that hopelessness comes what? Joy. This is a spiritual word. In this material world, happiness, what is hidden in happiness? Unhappiness. In spiritual world, what is hidden in unhappiness? Happiness, joy. That is a reflection there, no? So that is Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion, the need is to cry, Prabhupada said. Right in the beginning, Prabhupada says in Elevation to Krishna Consciousness, we have to become disappointed from this world, from our own efforts, from everything. And then from the disappointment comes happiness, the joy of service, yes. When will Krishna accept me? And what's the last verse? 𝗙𝗲𝗹𝗶𝗪. This is our philosophy. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, fine, you lost all hope in everything and you have just one hope, holy name and Krishna. He will give you everything. You're focused there. But even if Krishna doesn't give you anything, that is supreme secret to experience joy of service. Krishna, you don't give me anything, still I will keep on serving you. That's the supreme secret of experiencing joy and happiness. Devotee says, Krishna says, I'll not give you anything. Okay, fine. You keep on serving me, I will not give you anything. Still will keep on serving him? Is it? Yes. And still you will, as soon as you serve him with this idea that even if Krishna doesn't give me anything, even if he sends me to hell, I'll keep on serving him. That is a secret of supreme joy. And that's why Mahaprabhu says, Krishna, fine, that's okay. You don't want to give me everything? Okay, do one thing. You exploit me. That's what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗀, he said, surrender to Krishna. That's his philosophy. Ramanuja says, become servant of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, forget it. We tell to Krishna, exploit me. That's his. 𝗙𝗲𝗹𝗶𝗪. Finished to whether you accept me or you reject me. So that's a devotee. Krishna, fine. You don't want to give me anything? Anyway, I don't deserve anything. At least do one thing. Use me as you like and then leave me. No problem. And that will be my supreme happiness. And Prabhupada says in many of his lectures, no, like that, even if you send me to hell, no problem. That's the supreme secret of joy in Krishna consciousness. Why? Because that is absolute selflessness, no? No selfishness, no? So, okay, Krishna, I don't want anything. And Krishna is very happy. If Krishna is happy, you are happy. If Krishna is not happy, you are not happy. So that is 8 laws of joy in Krishna consciousness and 4 insights into horrors of material life. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Any questions here? As I'll stop here. Any questions? Otherwise,
yes, probably. I have one.
Who put a hand first? I can't decide, so you can decide yourself.
Take you back to the first verse on the Sissa.
Yeah.
You said, do the service that makes Krishna happy. How do we know? Do we go see the happiness through the devotees? Or
oh yeah, okay. That's a very practical question. Yeah, and it's a very practical question. And the answer is yes. There are some ways how to know how to do. Okay, what's the answer? How can I know myself That if I am doing service to Krishna, Krishna is happy. That's a question. That's a question. Okay. So we have some external signs and internal signs. External sign is, as Prabhupada says, Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado. If Guru is happy, definitely Krishna is happy. Okay, fine. We are done. Simple. But suppose if spiritual master is not there, like Prabhupada is not there, then how do you know? Okay, if devotees are happy, Krishna is happy. Done. Finished. Suppose if devotees are not there, you are in a desert, then how do you know? So there has to be some sign to know. Now what's that sign? Anybody? What's that sign? Krishna is happy.
Develop sense gratification.
Okay, good, yeah.
Unearth and everything.
The point is, you know that verse from Bhagavatam, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojuta Janyati Ashu Vairagyam. So the first sign of Krishna becoming happy is Vairagya. You don't get attracted to this material world. You don't need anybody for this. Prabhupada said no. Prabhupada said for Krishna consciousness you don't need any certificate. Many times he said in his lectures, you don't need any certificate from anybody. You can know. If you're not attracted to this material world, definitely Krishna is becoming happy, because Maya will give you everything except detachment. She's not going with detachment. She's fool or what? That she's not. But Krishna will not give you anything except detachment. Because he knows from detachment everything will proceed. Everything will come after detachment. Once you're detached, from Janyati Ashu Vairagyam, Gyan, from detachment comes knowledge. As soon as you become detached, automatically you understand, you get knowledge. Because clouds of material sense gratification gone. As soon as you get knowledge, you get realizations. As soon as you get realizations, you get taste. As soon as you get taste, attachment and love. Finish. So that's how we know that whether Krishna is happy. And that is what Prabhupada says in one of his purport about Vivek. That verse is it, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam? What's that verse? Isham Satyuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. Yes. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upyanti Te. 10.10. So Prabhupada says there, what is Buddhi? Prabhupada says Buddhi means discrimination. Vivek. Discrimination between spirit and matter. Or sense gratification and service. And Prabhupada says that is the sign of Krishna becoming happy. So that's how you can know. So, yeah, one thing I just wanted to add here. Krishna is becoming happy. We should not judge by experience of bliss in devotion. That's not a good idea. Because sometimes because sometimes we think, okay, I'm experiencing so much bliss in devotion, joy in Krishna consciousness, so Krishna is becoming happy. Not really necessary. That's a sign, but that's not a what can I say? That's not how you judge. So that's not a parameter. Okay. Because bliss can be confusing, no? We can be sometimes blissful. We can be sometimes blissful mentally. It can be illusion. It can be shadow. It can be abhas. It cannot be substance. That's why sometimes it goes, it comes, it goes. True bliss never goes. So that's why Sukadeva Goswami says, Janyati Ashu Vairagyam. He doesn't bring the concept of bliss there. Detachment. Detachment we can't get confused. It's impossible. You're attached, you're attracted to the lust, anger, greed, you are done. If you're not, you're not. So that's the idea there. Yes, sir.
You talked about the pious and the impious approaching Krishna. In chapter 7, I think it's 16, it says that there are 4 types of pious people that approach Krishna.
And 4 types of impious that do not. Sukritano, Duskritano.
But I thought you said...
Yeah, I understand your point. Actually, Krishna says, Chaturveda bhajante mam yajana sukritana arjuna arto jigyasu artharti gyani cha bharatarishala. So 4 pious people come to me. But the point Prabhupada writes in the purport is, not every pious person comes to Krishna. It is a pious person who associates with devotees. Because many people who are suffering, they don't go to Krishna. Many people who are suffering, they go to blah 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 whatever. Or they leave God. And on the other hand, Prabhupada says, some impious people do not come to me. But those impious people who do not associate with Krishna, like Prabhupada gives example of scientists, Maya Pratagyana, They don't come to me. But if scientists, we preach to them, they can come. So Krishna is giving a general law. Impious people do not come to me because they don't associate with saints. That's the key there. Pious people come to Krishna because they associate with saints. But within association of saints, chances of impious people becoming devotees is more than the chances of becoming pious people devotees.
Why so?
Why so? Because impious people think within themselves, anyway I am sinful. Let me hear this saintly person. Pious people think, I am saintly. So, what's so credit about him? That's what it happens, no? I know things. I am a good person. He's also good. Okay, let me hear. So there's a problem there. It's not general, but Prabhupada speaks of this in one of his purport, and it makes sense because I have seen in my preaching, in India, many people who were like alcoholics, addicts, they came to us, very quickly. And many people, if you go to India, many pious people, they don't come to Krishna consciousness. They don't come. They associate, but they don't accept. Because they think, and they tell to us, see, you people, you are in Krishna consciousness since last 20-25 years. I am from birth. What do you argue with them? And they might know more Gita shloks than you. So sometimes good things become a curse. It can happen like that.
Can we also say that sinful people, they are suffering more because of the sinful activity?
Yeah, you're right. They suffer more so.
More open. They are looking for some solutions.
Yeah.
So,
you're right. Yeah. Absolutely. This is good explanation. Pious people, they don't suffer because of pious credits they get happiness. Yes. So this is good logic. Yeah, they suffer. That's why sins are made, to make us suffer. लातों के भूत बातों से नहीं मानते. If you understand anything. Okay, if anybody and yes, Mataji. Otherwise we'll stop here.
This might come across as some convoluted logic, but too much renunciation can lead to pride too, right?
Yes, but that's a dry renunciation. Mm-hmm. That's what Mahaprabhu says, 𝗙𝗲𝗿 𝗪𝗲𝗀. True renunciation will never. Because true renunciation means love. Is it? Because you can't get true renunciation devoid of love, devoid of attachment. Vairagya, the word is vairagya. You know what vairagya means? Vairagya means, rag means attachment, vai means vi, vishesh attachment, special attachment to Krishna. So the more you attach to Krishna, the more you're detached from this world. That's vairagya. So we are not talking about dry attachment. Dry detachment will not real detachment. Real detachment is actually humbleness. It pleases Krishna. That's all.
So when we gauge ourselves in terms of detachment, how do we know if it's real or if it's,
No, you lose attraction for material world. That's all. It's very difficult to lose attraction for material world. No, it's not easy. It's not easy. To get out of lust, it's impossible. It's impossible. It seems impossible. But the fact we lose taste in that, yes, Krishna is becoming happy. Because only Krishna can make that taste loose. Nobody else can do it. That's what Krishna says. So, is it? You can't get confused in that. It's impossible. It's impossible. Yes,
Well, our process is not one of so negative as renouncing and
you're right. Yeah, you're right.
It's more become attached.
Yeah. So this is the point I was telling. Yeah, detachment comes automatically. Detachment is a sign that Krishna becomes happy by our service, by our attachment. Yes. So we are not practicing detachment. It comes to us, and that's a sign that Krishna is becoming happy. This is how we have to put it in proper context.
Because nobody is desireless. It's just a matter of shifting our desire from...
Yeah. You're right. So detachment is a checklist. It's not a process. It's a checklist for us. Okay, this is going to happen to you. It's a gift from Krishna. I say like that. Detachment is the first gift of Krishna. Bliss is not a gift. Bliss is a byproduct of chanting. You will get it. Detachment is a first gift. Janyati ashu vairagyam. Janyati means it produces. So produces means gives. Krishna gives a gift. Janyati also means a gift. That's the first gift. And the second gift, Krishna gives knowledge, realization, wisdom. So that's the idea. It's a gift. You don't follow that. Yes, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, speak.
So yeah, I was. So one of this point I liked was talked about the when. So when you are serving or offering any service to Krishna, you will always be conscious of, when you would accept that service or when you would accept it. I like that quote. Could you please elaborate on that?
Well, that's something very high stuff. So when you have to come to the platform, when will Krishna accept me? That when question has to come. How should I elaborate? You tell me. And then I'll elaborate in that sense. That's
so
all.
It's basically, you're trying to say that, you're always anxious that, you are mindfully basically trying to offer that service, not just kind of...
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Just like when we go have darshan of Krishna in the temple, so we see Krishna, we are happy. We are happy is Krishna in front of us. But at the same time we are sad. We are happy because we have answers to two questions. We have answers to two questions. What and why? This is Krishna. He is Lord of our life. He is giving darshan to us. Why is giving? Because we are trying to serve him. But the last question, when, that is not solved because we don't know the answer. When Krishna, when will you accept me? That's not answered, no? Because he have not accepted us now. We don't know whether he accepted us or not. So devotee is happy to see him, at the same time sad, because when will you accept me, Krishna? So both sentiments go on when devotee faces Krishna. That's what Mahaprabhu's whole pastime is, Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's how we cultivate both things. That's all. I can't explain more than that.
Thank you.
So you said
it's
that
a different sense.
bliss, you said is like a secondary...
This is a byproduct.
But
You'll get it.
In 9.2, he says that he gives 6 characteristics. That's Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam.
Pavitram yedam uttamam susukham pratyakshavagamam dharmam susukham kartum avyam. Yeah. Yes, Prabhupada says in the purport, this process is joyful. While you are practicing it joyful, and the goal is joyful. So the point is the very essence of holy name is bliss. It is not the effect of that holy name. It is like that, no? Just like if you take a tablet, what is a medicine? Bitter. The very essence of medicine is bitter, but that's not the effect. Effect of medicine is it cures you, is it? So similarly, the very essence of holy name is it's blissful. Nama Chintamani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ras Vikra. That's what is holy name all about. What is the effect of that? That gift is renunciation, wisdom, love. You understand? There's a difference in that. So you can feel bliss. You can keep on feeling bliss. And everybody feels bliss. Right in first day, people come to Krishna consciousness, people feel bliss. It's practical. Prabhupada says that anybody comes to Krishna consciousness, right in first day he'll dance. So that's okay. But Krishna is holding some gifts with him. When he's pleased by your service, bliss Krishna has made holy name blissful purposefully. That bliss will allow you to serve him. What do we say?
Encouragement.
Yeah. Some motive we want not to serve. So so that's the incentive Krishna is giving. Serve me, serve me, serve me. And what is the payment of that service? That is renunciation, love, and all that. So that's a difference there. So
it sounds like your point is that it can get in the way. It can become an obstacle.
What can become an obstacle?
The bliss can become because we can become attached to
it can become. Yeah, you're right. It can become an obstacle. If we become attached to bliss, if we become attached to the concept, I want that bliss, it can become an obstacle. So that's why Prabhupada always said, bliss will come. Don't worry about that. Serve Krishna. Your goal is love. Don't stop until you get love. That's why Prabhupada said, even if you get sufferings in Krishna consciousness, keep on continuing. No problem. We are not attached to bliss. Let it come, let it go. No problem. That's Krishna department. We are servants.
Serve now, samadhi later.
Yeah, Prabhupada said. Serve now, samadhi later.
Suffering is very good, right? Like what is that? So on no mind, mercy, I take away.
Yeah, I take away. Harisheta dhanam shanai. Slowly he will take. Not so that's slow torture. Anyway, that's something different. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to me and